The 2-degree rule was from when I learned to fly and get my private pilot's license. I had to go on a cross-country flight prior to me qualifying. And those were the days before GPSs. We plotted our course on a map. We knew exactly where our line crossed certain areas and areas that we could identify, and landscape areas. And I took off, and after about 20 minutes, I knew where I should have been. And it was up in Durban, and there were some masts up in Hillcrest. And I knew that they were there because I'd flown around that area so many times. And when I got there, I kind of saw them, but I felt now I'm a little bit further away from them than I should be. But I thought, not to worry, I'll be all right. I kept on flying. Now, when you fly an airplane, you can't pull over to the side of the road and ask somebody for directions. So the end result was that I ended up going off course, because when I set my compass when I took off in Durban, I was 2 degrees out, and I wasn't paying attention to wind speeds and all this sort of stuff. And obviously what happened is I started drifting off course. So if you look at a compass and you look at the middle of a compass and you try and identify 2 degrees, you can't see it. But if you go to the circumference of the compass, the 2 degrees, the lines marking the 2 degrees is now significantly wider. And that's what happens in business. Everything we have in the business, we have a 2-degree moment when the information is telling us something and we choose to ignore it. So I chose to ignore it, and then suddenly realized that I was way off track. And fortunately, I was able to pick up some landmarks and get back. In fact, I followed the N3 back to where I should have been. So I was very lucky. But that I called it the 2-degree moment because, as I said, in business, sales is a typical example. You know, we're 3 weeks into the month. We haven't got our sales targets. We say to ourselves, oh, it'll be fine. We've still got another week to go. That's a 2-degree moment. You don't do something, you don't change the direction you're heading in, and of course you end up off course. And it's often, in most cases, very difficult to get back to where you should have been before you can move forward again. So that's where the 2-degree rule originated from.
Really, really significant and so easy to remember. I think that's the beauty of simplicity, is that it clicks in your mind, and so you can go back to it, and it just becomes this point of reference that you're able to come back to over and over again. And the two things, the 1% and the 2 degrees, you know, it's like, I get that. And they are so applicable in business, how I can improve and how I can grow and how I can address problems so they don't grow bigger than they already are.